Welcome to A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Podcast. I am Jesse.
And I am Eric.
And we would like to welcome back G. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yourself?
We're great.
It's hard to feel like we're introducing ourselves when we've been talking for an hour.
I know, right?
Should note this is later in the day because this is the Eric's late edition of the podcast.
I'm just glad you're here because I don't know what I would have done. I don't know if I would have tried to do it myself.
I was curious if you're going to try to start without me.
I had a point in time, and it was probably like 4 minutes from now where I would have started, and we would have just went with it.
That's fair.
But no, this is better.
It's good to have you here.
Likewise, yeah. It's good to be here.
Since we've seen you last, you've done some traveling around. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know where to start with that, but I kind of want to start on the trouble side of it a little bit. You had a van breakdown, which sounds like a bummer.
Well, how about instead of going specific? Well, I mean, we could go specific.
I want to talk car troubles.
Okay, car troubles first.
All right. Well, basically, the van was fine for the whole East Coast stretch.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we put a trailer on it, things went down.
What kind of van was this?
Econoline E350.
It's a big van. Should be able to tow.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was definitely able to tow. It was just like, it was getting on the older side. It had already been through like a couple other tours with our band and a different band. So like it already had the wear and tear, and
I feel like there's stories involved in that. There's probably a lot of like hand-me-down touring vans out there.
Yeah, definitely. I assume so anyways. Unless you're like, up there and can just buy a brand new one.
But just like legends, like, hey, Motley Crue had this van back in the day or something.
Yeah. Well, our trailer actually was My Son the Hurricane's first trailer. Okay.
So there's another way you can calculate like your 7 degrees of separation.
Exactly, right?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Transmission went or something, maybe?
Honestly, I'm the wrong person to ask about that because I'm just starting to learn about cars so that I can try to help
Who's the
out
car
more.
expert in the...
It's not that there's a car expert, but I think Don would be the one that knows the most because he's
got life experience.
Yeah, he's a bit older, and he's gone through his own car troubles. But yeah, it was mostly so. As soon as we got to Winnipeg, it broke down. Which luckily we had like no gigs for like 3 or 4 days, I think. So
I was just about to ask that. So that's good.
Yeah, so it was good. It was a bummer, obviously, but we got it fixed in like a day. So then we just like went off and made all the rest of our gigs, and then it kept like I remember I think it was Langenberg or Langenberg, however you pronounce it, Saskatchewan. This guy comes up to us and he's like, "There's a giant puddle of like transmission fluid underneath your van." We're like, oh. And like literally we're in the middle of nowhere. So like we're like, we gotta go to our next gig tomorrow. So we gotta start driving like right away. So we had no time to like put it in a thing. We're basically.
That was before it broke down?
No, this was after it broke down.
Yeah. So after it broke down, but after you got it fixed?
Yeah, after we got it fixed. Yeah. So like now we're in the prairies. Like we're past Winnipeg, and this happened. So we're like, oh my God. So it was like this impending thing because every time we get to a new city, we'd get there in the evening, and shops are closed. So like there's no bringing it to a shop.
Nope.
And then you wake up and like we gotta go. Like, we didn't know which gig was going to be the one we had to cancel, basically, right? So, like, we're just like... And it was a stressful thing. There was always this, like... It was hanging over us the whole time, even when we're just, like, relaxing, eating a sandwich on the side of the road or whatever, like...
And then with every kilometer you put on that van, you're thinking, is this
the
one
gonna
that's
be the
going
one?
to kill us?
Yeah, you turn it on, you're like, oh, is this it?
The reason I immediately asked about the transmission is if you're towing, that's kind of the thing that gets stressed out the most. It sounds like whoever repaired it might have messed up a line or something. And
a lot of it was the electrical.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, like, the previous owner or the one before that did something to it, like, or tried to fix it themselves. And, like, So, but like it was hard to tell because what they were saying was like way over our heads. We're just like, well, just fix it as much as you can, as quickly as you can, because we got to get to our next show. So I remember like there was a couple of times where we like were able to get it into a shop real quick, and they were able to do whatever they could, like just like temporary parts and stuff like that quickly. Nothing's crazy serious happened until our last day on the islands, and then it just broke down and wouldn't start. So we're like damn, like what do we do? And so we brought it to this place, took a cab all the way out there because we dropped the car there, and I remember we like rented these bikes and we're just like riding all around. And oh wait, sorry, that was a different place. See, that's what I mean. There's so many auto shops we were at, so like all the stories are getting mixed up. But no, so the car definitely broke down in Victoria, and the guy literally like race car style built us a part. I forget what part it was.
Right.
I think like I have no idea, but he's just like, I used to build race cars, so I'm gonna order a piece from like the building next door, and it'll be good for tomorrow. So we're like, holy crap, because we had to catch a ferry at like 8 a.m. So it was like, you know, holy shit, thank you. I think it broke down again in Kelowna, like basically the one guy, it was weird. The one guy told us like, he's like, this will like barely get you home. When you get home, you need to change that part.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like change it like next week. And we're like, what is it gonna be? I think it still has that part on it, and it like hasn't failed.
So
yet.
it's running currently.
It's running, but like it's
on
in the same state where you're like, this could be the time I started, like so. But now I think there's not as much wrong with it now. Like
Well, after all the times you got it fixed, I would
like
hope
it's
so.
just not trustworthy to take on a tour. But it's like city good. Like you could cruise around for.
That's good.
Yeah, like it just don't pull like a crazy trailer again, sort of a deal across the country.
That's the thing with a lot of vehicles is it starts getting to the point where if something major's breaking down, you're never gonna fully fix the problem because unless you entirely get a rebuild on a transmission, or honestly, it's probably worth more than the van to do that, and it's a pain in the butt.
So right now we're just van shopping, and we're
fair enough
thinking about trading the van as part of like the deposit, because I know you can do that, and it's like I said, it still works, like. And, you know, if they put a bit of work into, like, the brakes and stuff like that, then it'll just pretty much just be a city car at that point. Yeah.
And then after you get the newer, nicer van, you should wrap your van and roadways advertising.
That'd be cool. Except the only problem is you risk getting robbed, right?
Yeah, they know what's in the van. That's true.
Like
never thought about that.
More like a family van, you can make it look, instead of, like, things that have, like, expensive things in it.
You know what? That's true.
Yeah.
And I had magnets on my van forever that said it was video and photo. I never got robbed, but then again, I found out that people thought I was in porn because of my last name. So
that's hilarious.
Maybe they didn't want any of the equipment because they were afraid of sticky lenses.
Right.
Damn.
You never know, man, what people are thinking about you based on your car.
Yeah. Off topic, but I did just want to mention, because I made a comment on Facebook today and you were one of the people to react about the comment.
Oh my God. That was a weird article to see you associated with too.
Yeah. The St. Catharines Standard posted that link, and then there were a few other comments. So I said, and it's the honest to God truth about this guy. He was a great surgeon, and he was caring. He came and talked, and he answered all my questions, and his rehab was great and whatnot. However, as great of a surgeon as he was, he's a horrible human being for killing his wife. And the article even said, as he was killing his wife, his daughter came into the bedroom to see what was going on.
How old's his daughter?
Young. Like, younger than 10.
Like, comprehending, though.
Oh, did you say how is his daughter?
No, like how old, but just like old enough to comprehend.
Probably, but I don't know what he said to her aside from everything is fine, go to bed.
What?
Yeah. But he today.
That's so creepy.
Yeah, he said he was guilty, and when you pinpoint everything that happened, there might have been a small chance, because there were some lovers entwined in that. She was cheating on him, and he had multiple lovers, so it could have been, but it was pretty clear that he had done something.
Oh man.
So, yeah, he pleaded guilty. He'll go to jail. Damn. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is still a huge loss to the medical community.
But he saved your life, too.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
Lost a good back surgeon.
He was a really good back surgeon. He was acclaimed as the best in Canada. People came to him.
That's crazy.
It's a little bit of an interesting duality of characters, because people like to immediately get on the bandwagon when they hear some, famous person they love has done something horrible and say, they're a horrible person forever. But you still almost got to think back, like, kind of got to respect the things that they did accomplish and the great things they did, in spite of them being now terrible.
That's why I'm so conflicted about this.
It is conflicting.
For sure,
and
that'd be so weird.
The article also said that after he killed his wife, like the day after, because he killed her and he got arrested on a Friday, and I think he killed her on a Tuesday. He still did surgeries in between that time.
Oh my
so I get
God.
freaked out by it. But
Oh
could
my
you imagine 12 hours after he kills his wife, he's
Working on
slicing
you?
through you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not just regular surgery. Like, he's
Right.
going for your spine.
Does anyone know how he killed her? Like,
Yeah.
do we know?
He strangled her.
my
Some
God.
reports say he scalped her, but at the end of the day, he stuffed her in a suitcase and left her on the side of the road.
What? Are you kidding me? And this
Yeah.
happened in what, St. Catharines?
No. Toronto.
Oh,
Toronto
okay,
area.
Okay.
I wouldn't have
I didn't.
spine surgery
To be
in St.
honest, I didn't read
Catharines.
the article. I just saw your
Yeah.
comment.
And he just left her on the side of the road, which is, I always think is odd. And I say odd only because he was such a smart person. You could tell that he didn't really plan on killing her because it wasn't that thought out. You would think such a smart person wouldn't leave her on the side of the road.
That's so disgusting.
I don't know. You can't say what his mental state was at the time.
Well, I know.
I don't know.
But then again, that makes it even creepier for the people that he did surgery on the next
Totally.
day.
He's not right of mind or sound of
No.
mind.
And then I feel bad for the people that were waiting for surgery on the Monday or something like that. Because they would have got
Jeez,
a
yeah.
call on the Friday saying, so we have to postpone your surgery. And then an hour after they get
They
that
see the
phone
article.
call, you'd see the news be like, oh.
Probably it'd be a bit of relief, like I dodged a bullet, but also I gotta wait another year for back surgery.
Because some of the
And
surgery...
who's this guy gonna be, or this woman? Like,
Right. Some of the back surgeries he did could only be done by him. And they had to bring in specific equipment. So he was the spine neurosurgeon of Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Not
insane.
anymore. So, anyways, I just thought I would throw that out because it's always been something that
You
is.
think that they would allow for like some of the society's most talented people the option to do specific tasks from a jail-like setting?
Yeah, but
I don't.
see, the problem is something like that. Would you? Yes, he was good at what he did, but he. I mean, it would. Would you go? Would you trust somebody?
I don't know.
That's a tough one.
If they still got a good track record while they're in jail, I
I
guess.
think potentially it could
Wow,
work,
we're getting
but
so
they
philosophical here. My God.
they would have.
I don't know
to
if
have,
I would either.
But they would have to have a bunch of people watching him. Like they're the talent,
right.
but then they'd have to have a board of
Yeah.
people saying, "Yes, you can do this." Yeah, it'd be a good way to repay society.
Yeah.
You change people's lives for the better doing that, and I mean,
You never earn a penny, like
Right.
your
It's
sentence.
not your business at all.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Wow.
it is pretty philosophical.
It is. It's a tough one. I sent, and this is always just kind of funny because I would always send him and his secretary a Christmas card.
No way.
And I sent him a Christmas card the week before. I don't even know he got it. The week before he got arrested.
Man.
So, who knows? And his secretary was really nice, so hopefully she was able to transfer to the hospital. You always think about, you hear about him, but
All the
there's
employees.
people around
Yeah,
him that
people.
had a good job, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Crazy.
So may he rot in jail unless we find a way to, make him work.
to use them.
Utilize the talents of criminals.
Big talent, though, right? Like, that's a very unique case.
Crazy.
Rarely, I can't think of this one's very personal to me, but somebody who is so highly educated. Like, there are talented people, but somebody that's so highly educated in a field that is so sought after, like he's one of the only people, and then he's just gone. You would think that there'd be special exceptions. Especially
But then there shouldn't be, right?
No, that would be an uproar.
That's like how the
That's
rich
true.
yeah.
largely avoid jail time and other
Right,
things. It's this
yeah.
weird privilege that people, I kind of agree, shouldn't be a thing, but even though
Yeah.
it
I
still
agree. It
is.
shouldn't be.
Well, then there goes all the in-depth conversation. We have to keep everybody treated fairly.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
It's the
terms
right
of
thing.
yeah. I mean, when it's something that serious, I think yes.
So, oh well, it's the end of it. It'll be interesting if there's ever some sort of movie. There's a rumbling of something potentially happening because they had a long and abusive marriage.
Oh wow.
He had been arrested and stuff. Or
That's crazy. Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about this person.
I've done my research.
Of course.
Imagine you would. It's a strange thing to maybe see things in your life, and maybe it happens to all of us, where something's happening and you realize this is an interesting story arc to it. This could be in a movie. And I'm sure you on the road, especially these days, you probably see some pretty cool stuff or meet some interesting people that you think, I want to know more about this person or
Right. Yeah.
maybe-
Because a lot of the times you like when you're traveling. Like I've traveled outside of music, and I mean, it's not to say like I don't have interesting experiences. You do still meet a lot of weird people, but like when you're the entertainment for the night, like people come to you almost, you know. So you do meet the more like forward people or whatever, with a lot of weird stories and a lot of, you know.
See, I would love that.
It's fun. It's fun. I have a lot of stories. It's hard to remember though. It's just like all a blur, and then it'll hit me and be like, remember the time, like.
It's almost worth, at least from my perspective, I know several people that are trying to like write TV show skits and things, and they're basing them a lot off, it's a very Canadian kind of show, so they're basing them off Canadian stories where, you know, they go to a bar and so tells them a story and like, hey, that's a great idea for the thing I'm writing.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So almost if you kept those things, it'd be a huge...
That's true. I mean,
tool.
I did write down notes when I went to New Orleans and when I went to Texas, you know, just like journaling about like different things that would happen. For some reason, I think I started a bit on our first tour, but you know, there's just so much work to be done, and if when you're not doing something, you're trying to rest or eat. You don't really have a lot of time in each city. Like, you know, it's a lot of driving and setting up and tearing down and playing and eating and sleeping. That's basically a lot of it. And like, don't get me wrong, it's amazing, but like a lot of what we see is close to like our campsite or hotel. You know, like you can't really go too deep into the city because the next day you have to wake up super early and start driving.
It's true.
Still kind of interesting.
It's very fun. Yeah,
I
wouldn't trade it for anything.
Serial note taker, so whenever I hear an interesting conversation, I guess serial note taker is a polite way of saying it. I am also a serial eavesdropper. Like it's just the way I am. But I have found
you're the people watcher.
Yeah, I find very
it.
interesting stories, and sometimes they make it into things that I have written and whatnot.
That's cool. Yeah, I would like to start trying to do that. Like, I don't write a whole lot of songs based on the perspective of something I've seen in people. It's a lot of just like either something to do personally that I try to make it not so personal, or it's just like, just storytelling, but not exactly related to something I've seen. So it's a pretty cool idea to see someone's dynamic with someone else or something.
Yeah. Storytelling music, I think, is what I'm driven to most personally, I think.
I love a good...
It's hard.
I can imagine.
It's super hard because you still got to make it like in rhythm and time and like sometimes rhyme it. And
good example of a storytelling writer that is coming through, and I think we might see.
I knew exactly who you were.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Because I was going to say the same damn thing. Gordon Lightfoot.
He comes to mind immediately for that kind of thing. But
yes.
It'd be cool to talk to him. I mean, there's probably slim chance of that, but I'd like to know where most of the inspiration comes from.
I will send out an email.
Sure. We'll see if we get Gordon Lightfoot.
It's not unheard of.
We almost got Ed the Sock.
You could have, yeah.
No, I'm saying we almost did.
What stopped you?
We got denied by a piece of footwear. He asked what we did, and then we didn't really get replies. The replies stopped, so that's okay.
To be expected.
But it would have been interesting. So now we're shooting for the stars to try and get whoever we can.
Maybe I should collab with Ed the Sock. That'd be a cool collaboration. Just get him to like rap over.
It'd be good in a music video.
Yeah, it'd be a good cameo.
It's true, and a good Canadian cameo,
Yeah.
right? Like he's big on the Canadian content. So that's.
I'm not sure what, like, I remember watching him, but what is he doing now? I know he did.
Well, he just started. It sounds weird because we're talking about Sock, right?
Right.
But he just started touring again.
No, I know he just played Niagara Falls.
Yeah, and then the next day he played Tillsonburg, which is where I grew up.
Nice,
right?
nice.
So
2 chances.
I just mean like I don't know what his material's like now.
It's all very politically incorrect.
Gotcha.
It's on his Facebook page. He was on a Today Show, and not a Today Show. He was on a talk show, kind of like the Today Show, and he just went off on I might have seen a little clip of just everything, like saying that I can't remember. He's a foul-mouthed sock. He's politically incorrect, and he'll touch on everything, including. Everything that we're not really supposed to talk about.
It's easier to do that, I'd imagine, once you have a persona and there's no person that's attached to this.
That is very true.
Character.
Right. That is very, very true.
That opens the gates for that kind of thing.
Yeah. So
it's funny thing is it's a sock, like you said, right? So it's like
when I told Eric that I'd messaged him, I said, like, are you 100% okay with our most famous guest being a sock? There's some sort of existential problem with that.
Yeah.
Do you? This is weird. I think maybe, and not to mock your level of fame at all, but I don't. Do you ever have people? No, but like I'm just saying. Do you ever
You're more
have,
famous than us?
Do you ever have fans come up to you and try to tell you what their interpretation of lyrics?
We were talking about that before.
Because like I know once huge bands will have fans of just, you know. nuts
Right
in them.
now,
They'll go for it.
most of our audience is based around like the jam band scene.
Yeah.
So the highlight or focus in our especially our live experience is the jam, the improvised part. You know, kind of like a jazz approach.
I very much I have enjoyed at the shows that I've been to.
Yeah, and so like right now, I've gotten more people saying like that jam, like you guys took it in such a cool way or whatever. But no, I think the thing is I have a hard time writing a lot of like songwriter songs, you know, like 2 or 3 minute songs that like tell a story and stuff, which I'm actually starting to work on, because I find I write like 10-minute epics most of the time. I like start it simple and I throw a big intro and like an outro and a big middle jam section.
It's not bad, but that's hard to be marketable.
It's
on
hard to sell,
radios
right?
too,
Yeah,
right?
I don't mind doing it live because it's an experience, but when you're putting it on a CD,
It's true.
yeah, it's easier to get someone to listen if it's like, check out this like 3 or 4 minute, 5 minute track even.
We have a local band, if you could call it that was very successful doing it. Rush 2112.
That's true.
yeah.
Right?
Yep. It's
Very well
very,
known.
very true. And I'm not dismissing that. We still get very progressive, you know. And even the simpler songs I'm writing still have like a lot of depth to them. So I'm not saying I'm trying to like oversimplify it. It's just like there is something to be said about it, and it's a craft. It's like it's fun to like, you know, edit. You're just basically snipping parts out that you don't think are too important. Like, and of course I'm always going to write long songs, and that's not going anywhere. I'm not saying that, but it is fun to try to like see how short you can make a song, but it still be really great. Like you'd be surprised how many 3-minute songs are jam-packed with so many cool ideas. Like you don't necessarily need 9 minutes unless there's a certain reason.
I think artistically that mentality falls into a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we were always taught in school that no matter how short the short film was, always tell a story. Like always make sure there's art there. So when the first films we shot that had no depth to them, black and white, no sound, they were only like 40 seconds, and you had to tell even the simplest of narrative. But same thing, sometimes the shorter ones can be the most powerful.
Totally, and it's kind of a fun project. I forget what the term's called, but it's like exercises that you put restrictions on yourself, so that you have to abide by like certain rules, and it forces you to work on a certain thing. I forget.
I feel like I should know the word for that, but I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Because like if you just, you know, it's good to do an exercise, but if you don't give yourself parameters, then you don't really know. You're not like fine-tuning anything.
With the photography stuff, I did that a lot. I would give myself specific, lenses or equipment to work with, or specific place, or just things like that for that kind of art. But it makes you push your limits in other directions.
Exactly,
Sure.
it gives you a direction too. Yeah, for sure.
Do you? This is an interesting one too. You got another guitar recently, which I thought was interesting. Is that changing the way you're playing it all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was saying this to my band the other day. The guitar feels better than I am right now. Like
Really?
Yeah, it's a weird thing to say.
It's giving a personality to the instrument.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what it's doing is it's forcing me to become a better guitar player to match how well crafted it is, because now it's like there's like more nuances that I never heard. Not that my Godin isn't a bad guitar.
No,
It's
Godin makes
completely
great
different.
guitars.
You know, it's like it's got a rounder tone to it, and the pickups are less clear, so it's more of like a muddy round sound. Whereas with this guitar is like replicating a Stratocaster, so it's like super clean. You know, it bites more.
I like that sound myself. I've got the Squier version of the Strat, but I love the sound of it even for a cheap guitar.
Me too, and it's got the Strat neck on it, like the same scale. And I love it too, because I've been really getting into like old school funk and even like the newer stuff, like Lettuce and all those big bands. But it's definitely, I have to adjust. I haven't even played a gig with it yet, because I'm still figuring out all of the different like tones that I can get from it, and not to mention like the knobs and the pickup selector are in different spots, and when I'm playing and jamming and improvising,
You miss them maybe.
well, yeah, exactly. With my other guitar, I don't even have to look down. I just know exactly where everything is, and I'm doing it like on the fly. Where there's, and then I'm pressing pedals, and everything changes when you plug in a new guitar. So it's like, I'm like singing. I've got this pedal board, my amp settings, the new guitar. Like, there's a lot of things to think about, and I can't do it just yet with Road Waves. I do rehearse every time with the new guitar, though.
Do you think that maybe the different feel is a big deciding factor in famous musicians sticking with one guitar, or is it more of just a branding thing, you think?
No, I think it could be branding. Like, I don't know what goes on in their head, but it's definitely a stylistic thing because, like, I know Derek Trucks has said this, and like a lot of people where they, wanted a different guitar their whole lives, but only had one guitar to play, and then they kept playing that, and then they went to go play that one they always wanted, and it just didn't feel the same anymore, or didn't feel like what they were used to, so they just stuck with it because they had developed their own
I've felt that a
style
little bit.
or whatever.
When I was young, I always wanted a Les Paul, but playing with it, I realized I liked the sound of the a Fender Strat a lot more.
That was me with an SG. I wanted an SG.
I had
so
an
bad.
SG. Oof,
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
yeah. I've rented one for a gig, and it played really nice, and it was a great gig, but it just didn't fit what I was looking for.
It's a very different feel to it compared to any other guitar. The one I had was an Epiphone, and it just went out of tune too much, which is why I sold it. But it didn't feel right, for sure. Not for me. First electric guitar I got was like an old Washburn, I think it was MG42.
Nice.
It's actually a really well-built guitar. It just has so many electronic problems. I got to rewire the thing. But that's a pretty good feeling guitar.
I still have yet to purchase one. I keep saying I'm going to, and then it always gets shoved to the wayside. But I still want to learn.
Yeah, when you get one, I'll definitely sit together and.
We should have a jam session. I
am 100% down.
I'm terrible. I don't practice.
I guarantee
I would love to.
you're better than me.
You know what? I enjoy teaching. Like, I do it for a living, so I do charge if someone wants to actually.
Are you looking for more customers? Because we could promote,
Absolutely.
we could promote you, and maybe we have an interest.
Yeah,
too.
no, yeah, I for sure am. I mean, now the tour is about to start soon,
Well,
so like it'll have to be after
We're
the summer.
looking
Contact
for new customers.
G.
I mean, but for September,
yeah.
What's the contact info? We'll put it on the screen.
you could do gsharpmusic@gmail.com.
Perfect. Email there if you're interested in guitar lessons.
Yeah.
But the reason I said that is because I love teaching like on the side anyways without money. Like if we have a jam session and you have questions, like I love explaining things because then it forces me to think of simple ways to like explain it to myself
Oh, I
too,
need
right?
simple.
Yeah. I need simple too. That's what I do for myself.
There's this weird negative feedback loop that's always happened with me for guitar. So my parents took interest in me going to music lessons when I was quite young. I think
So
I was
did mine.
probably like 8 or 9 years old. I started playing guitar. I played in music lessons for about 3 years. I got pretty decent at it. But for some reason, the more serious it got, the less I sort of pushed away and I tried to do other things.
I feel that too.
And every time I get back to it, I will play hardcore for like a month or two, and then it's like no guitar for 3 months.
I go through that all the time where it's just like sometimes it just feels so like we're all learning a cover, for rehearsal or whatever, and at first it's kind of fun, and then it's just like, now that I'm getting sick of the song almost, like it's kind of getting like, I was in this for the fun, and now it just feels like forced.
It's a lot of work.
But you just make it fun. That's why you keep learning other things, and don't get too stuck. If something's too hard for too long, just switch to something else.
I think it's almost a short attention span problem for me
I
too.
feel that too.
Like, if I'm learning a song, no matter what my intentions are, I want to learn the whole thing. I will only ever master the bits I really like, the riffs I really like, and then the rest of it's.
I've been doing that for a long time, but I will tell you this, and I remember having to tell this to myself, is when you learn like even half a guitar solo, you're still learning something.
Yeah, you're getting your fingers moving.
You're getting your fingers moving, and especially if you analyze the music after. Like, I mean, you do need to know a bit of theory, but not really. Like, if you can at least analyze the pattern that you're playing and where it fits in like the greater scale, you can apply it to different songs. You can apply it to your own. I mean, it's like learning a new word. Like, you don't just want to learn the word in that context. You want to learn how to say the word in other sentences and for it to make sense, right? So it's kind of similar. If you learn even just one phrase from a song, just try to fit it on top of something else in a different key even, and because then you'll know how to apply it instead of just, oh, I know the solo to this song and I only play those patterns in that song. Like,
the funny thing is, as an adult, I'm much more interested in the theory side of it. Like,
Me too. It's
all I
interesting.
practice is scales at
Right.
this point. I don't know, for some reason I feel like if I learn those so well, I can
Buy
make my own stuff.
I forget what they're called. I should know this because I'm a teacher, but this is like your classic theory book that you can get from like the Royal Conservatory.
I have like the first 3. There was a really popular series.
Yeah. Is it like
forever
the dark purple one?
It's blue, followed by red, followed by purple.
Yeah. So I usually just work. I think the purple's the last one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just learn out of that one because it goes through the basics at the beginning, anyways.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I did it. But I did take theory lessons specifically, like without a guitar in my hand, just so that I knew like I could sit at a piano and figure it out if I wanted to, which I ended up doing.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not amazing at it, but I know all my chords and stuff like that. I know the theory behind it all. And piano's the easiest instrument to like visualize theory because it's all alphabetical.
It's linear too. When you're moving
yeah.
up and down a guitar neck,
Yeah,
it's-
every string you go to, it starts somewhere else.
Yes.
Like it's just like it's
Ah,
not
crap.
very clear. It's not obvious. You know, if you know the notes of a piano, it just goes like alphabetical and then repeats like 8 times.
Maybe I should switch to piano.
it's expensive to have a real piano. You can get
Well,
a
I
keyboard.
mean, I could get Don, my keyboardist, to recommend a cheap electronic one.
I would still prefer guitar over
Guitar's
piano.
yeah. It's more of the thing with guitar is you have to like work your fingers into pressing down on metal, right? So that's the one aspect of.
Hey, you build callus pretty
Yeah,
quick.
exactly.
Doesn't take too
I
long.
just mean like it's not fun until you do, really.
Yeah. The other issue with stopping constantly is the extreme finger fatigue when I come back to play it, which also limits the
yeah.
duration. You
Do
can play to.
warm-ups.
Yeah, it'd be worth it.
I do like 10-minute warm-ups every day, no matter how
Finger
long.
warm-ups?
Yeah. And those get you better too because they just you
Like
condition.
like
no,
what are we
like
talking-
guitar
Oh, okay.
warm-ups. You know, like super simple exercise or just like
Go up and down in
exercise.
scales
Exactly.
or whatever
Very
you
very simple though. Like it has to be extremely simple so that it's just getting the blood going, you know, and you're not straining yourself because you can get. I think it's called repetitive movement strain or whatever
Yeah,
syndrome.
okay.
So
Speaking of getting the blood going, do you play outside at all in
Yeah,
in the
we
tour?
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there an issue with cold? Because I know.
like playing in the cold.
Yeah.
We
freezing
don't.
fingers.
We don't really tour too much in the winter or anything like that.
I think it was towards the
Could
fall
you
time.
imagine all your van troubles amplified
It'd be
by
worse.
winter months?
That would be worse.
Yeah, no, that's the hard thing about Canada, right? It's like I do see bands touring in the winter, and like I don't know how they do it.
You run a risk.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing is if we get to the point where we're touring in the winter, I'm gonna book a Cali tour, like you know.
Smart.
Why
Yeah.
not?
So
It almost seems like a good time to get together and just figure out what you're going to do for the rest of
it
the year.
totally is. I love winter for that. Well, first of all, it's a booking season for the summer,
Mm-hmm.
so like I'm so busy, like mentally more busy in the winter for sure, and then obviously physically more busy in the summer. But it is a great time to get together and just write new songs and figure out what we're gonna tour with, like catalog-wise, and
I saw a documentary about Neil Young recently, and he basically attributes to most of his beginning because I think it was in Saskatchewan or somewhere. It was freezing in the wintertime, and kids couldn't even go outside and play hockey. It was so cold, so they stayed in the garage and they learned instruments.
Nice.
And that's
cool.
It's a phenomenon that's, maybe not so common these days with everybody paying more attention to electronics and other ways of stimulation.
No, for sure.
But I'm sure a lot of good bands came out of the freezing cold winters of Canada.
For me, it was getting grounded all the time. Yeah, I used to just get sent to my room, and all I could do was either play guitar or read books, which I did both.
Both of which
Yeah.
are valuable skills.
Exactly.
Yeah, which does go back to the idea of like guitar it's a fun outlet when it's not the thing you have to do. You're doing it because you want to do it.
Exactly. And that's the thing I have to go through in my head a lot of. It's like, okay, like I need to put down this song that I'm forcing myself to learn and look up something I actually want to learn right now just to get my mind away from it. But the short attention span thing, like I honestly do short bursts of like very focused work, you know, like 15 minutes of just focusing on one specific thing. And if you do that like every day, then it's better. And then you can like spread it out and do 15 minutes of scales and 15 minutes of this, 15 minutes, like turn your phone on airplane mode, and because it's easier to focus if you only have to convince your brain, like, all right, just like 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. And then you can go on to whatever else if you need to.
Exactly.
Now, I have a question about the business side of things. So, you book a tour, get all these wonderful spots to play. How does it go about? Do you take deposits on this? Do you get paid at the door?
Well,
have you ever been ripped off by a club? You don't have to mention names, but I'm very intrigued.
I wouldn't mention names. I think the only place really that we've actually been ripped off where it was someone's fault, like directly, like, because there's been times where it's like, you know, we just didn't make a lot of money, and like there's nothing we can do or whatever. But it was in Toronto, and it was before we ever started. I think it was actually our first tour, but it was a micro tour, so it was like a 4-date little weekend thing.
Okay. Like
a milk run or whatever. And that was sketchy. It was like in a sketchy part of Toronto, and like the guy said we didn't make any money, but we packed the joint, and like he's sitting there waiting for us to leave so he can get the money from and I was just like, whatever. Like a fight started outside. I was like, let's just go, guys. Like, this is just a sketchy situation. I don't even want to like deal with this. But no, most of the times on the road, I take an email as like a written contract. Like, that's because you can use it. It's written down. And it's either guarantees, the way it works. Like, I do contracts for the most, like if it's a pretty professional gig, but you know, sometimes when it's just some random bar in Saskatchewan, they're usually really cool. Like, some of them will be like, can you call me so we can just like get to know each other, and like it's like a cool connection. And one thing I noticed about being on the road every year now is there is a Canadian tour circuit, and there's tiers to it, right? So it's like there's the touring circuit in the bar world, there's the touring circuit in the like venue or club world, and there's the touring circuit in the festival world. I mean, it's all part of the same circuit, but like depending on where you are in your musical career, like there's a circuit for that, you know. And these people want to see touring bands come through. Like, they'll tell me like new bars that we've played have been like, you know, tell all your touring buddies like that we're a spot in Saskatchewan or whatever, like in here or there or whatever, like tell all your friends because we want our year to be booked with bands passing through and stuff. So I really like it. And like, you know, you can sense red flags too. Like, I mean, it's either like they're very professional and they're like you just keep the door, and if you don't draw anyone, you pay us like $150 for the rent. So it's, or they're like, we guarantee like 400 in meals, and it's like, all right, well, like if they don't pay us, like it's written down. So like at that point we seek out a business lawyer, you know, which
probably would be expensive.
Yeah, probably be expensive, but luckily I know that Don's sisters are lawyers.
And
not that I would still pay them, obviously.
You definitely want to.
It's people we know.
To do the proper channels. If somebody does wrong you want to go the professional way.
Right.
You know, get righted, even if
exactly.
it does.
For the most part, though, no, it's usually pretty legit. Like, you can tell. Like, and the thing is in the touring realm, like, you kind of just steal gigs from other posters. You're like, oh, okay, I see this band playing this bar in the middle of nowhere or wherever. So you call them up. Or you ask that musician, hey, how's this place? Did they pay you fairly? Did you guys get to eat? Did they put you up? Like, what's the deal with the sound? So that's what I mean about like the tour circuit. Like, it's kind of like, unless it's a brand new place or whatever, like you can get the reputation pretty easily from the person that you stole it off their poster or whatever. Like, and it's not like you're stealing or anything. Like, obviously everyone knows you need a spot to play, right? So, and that's a good part too about touring, is it's not really as competitive. Like, it is and it's not, because you're on the road in different places most of the time. Like, there might be a time where you are in the same town as another touring band, but like you're not really competing with the locals, right? Like, no. You're trying to join forces with them.
And at the same time, there's all these bars competing with other bars,
right.
And they all want to be able to book somebody, exactly. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's a big market of people trying to have some kind of loop going.
Right.
So now that we're about another, like, don't remember exactly the last time you were on. I should probably have checked the date, but it would be fair to say that it was about a year ago, give or take.
Was it? Wow.
Give or take.
Wow,
Maybe
I
a
thought
little
it was-
bit, maybe not quite, but
Yeah.
we were at your house still, so
That's right.
it was
Yeah.
maybe 10 months ago, because the music video hadn't premiered yet, so I think we did it after the music video, or around the music. No, hold on.
It was after.
No, we did it before and tried to release it around the time of the music video, I
Oh, to
think.
catch the hype?
Probably.
No, because the music video didn't release till later. So I think we did the podcast after the music video, but the music
after
video...
it's
To hype
shot.
the video.
Yeah,
after the
it
music
was
video shot,
Yes.
Right.
which was in March? I can't remember
The
that.
problem with all of this is that somebody could just look it up and know
Yeah.
in about 2 seconds.
Anyways,
It's fine.
that's not the point. So now that a year basically has went by, do you notice every band, every business, every company, and that's, I mean, you are, have you noticed growth? Is there definite growth?
Absolutely,
Are you happy
yeah.
with the growth?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's every band, I mean, every business has this, but there's some things that are tough to crack. And for us, it's certain cities, right? Like
what?
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg?
Tough one to crack. It's hard to get booked, especially
Why?
on off days. They have an amazing scene, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
We're always there on such a weird day, like a Sunday or a Wednesday or something like that, right? So it's just like, that's the hard thing, because a lot of the times we shoot ourselves out of Ontario by playing like Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, and Thunder Bay, which
Yeah.
gets us through the weekend, and then it's a Sunday or a Monday, right? And then that's Winnipeg.
That's
or,
fair.
Or Brandon, which is like 2 more hours. But yeah, and then because they have such a good scene, it's pretty tight knit. So it's hard to play if nobody really knows you. So that's a tough one, but I'm happy with the growth. Yeah, like we've played Kelowna 3 times, Kelowna, BC, and Thunder Bay. I think we've played it 4 times now, and each time we're there, I see a couple more familiar faces. They're like, "Yeah, I was at the first one," So it's really cool because you just assume no one's really paying attention. You're just some random band. They're at a bar, but there are some venues where people go to check out who's there today. Like,
There's hipster points, being like, I knew this band when they came through
exactly.
the first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
For sure. I'm happy with the growth too, because every time we hit up a new spot or an old spot, we meet more people, whether it's friends of the first people we met or like just new other people. So it's like you're making friends along the way. It's hard to see a lot of the people that come to my shows as like audience members. I just see my friends like half the time,
Where's your favorite spot? If you had to pick one venue.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one because my favorite spot is different than my favorite gig.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Well, you could explain.
Okay.
I don't know what you mean by
Neither
that.
do I.
Well, I just mean like there's some spots that are like absolutely gorgeous, but it doesn't mean the gig went well,
Oh, that's fair.
right? The musical aspect or whatever, or like the location to play wise versus like, because some places are beautiful and then you're like in some like hole in the wall for the whole night, right? And then it's dark and you go to bed and then you're gone.
So you don't really get to appreciate it, or
Not as
have
much
it
as you would
add to the
if you were on
experience.
vacation or whatever, right? Or
Sure.
just traveling. Favorite place? It's a very good question.
So, meet in the middle. Say favorite place, favorite gig. Like, let's say you were given free reign to perform at one location for a year.
Wow.
And you got paid the entire time. Don't say Vegas. I
No.
assume you've never performed in Vegas, so don't headline at Vegas. Although, if you headlined at Vegas, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I would have to say I really enjoy Tofino because it's the west side of the island, so it's not as hot in the summer because you get like the ocean winds. And it's like the surf town of Canada.
I feel like
Is it warm enough to surf?
I feel like
Yeah.
you would resonate
Like it's
well in a
like it's
surf
warm,
town.
but it's a fog zone. So when there's fire bans all across BC,
They're good.
there's not there, and there's rainforest there.
Really?
So it's a really diverse area. Like it's really cool. The
Sounds
first time we were there, we slept in the rainforest. There's like banana slugs, and it's really cool. And it says like rainforest, like it says Ontario.
I
rainforest.
didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Me either.
Yeah,
See,
because you're right
that's
by the.
why I asked.
Yeah. It would be a tie between that and Alma, New Brunswick, because I have a close connection with a lot of the people there. Because I went there on a tour in a band called the Perpetual Peace Project before I was in, or actually Roadways existed at that time, but yeah, it was just another tour. And yeah, it's a really cool little community of like probably 500 people tops. And you just get so well set up. Like I love the restaurant we play, Octopus's Garden Cafe. It's like this super like, you know, it's like the Mate Cafe of Alma, New Brunswick.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's just like really beautiful. It's on the bay. Like it's just like, yeah, you can see the ocean. It's just amazing.
Fans in New Brunswick, are they predominantly bilingual or are some of them just straight French?
Good question.
I
I wouldn't know that.
You didn't talk to enough of them after
Well,
the shows?
most of the people I talk to are English speakers.
speaking.
Actually, I
fair enough.
have one friend, Jock. Yeah, he has a very, very French accent. I just don't know too many people, but most of the people I do know are pretty English speaking. Like I mostly play like the bigger cities though.
I know. Just one thing that stands out about New Brunswick is it's typically known as the most French of the provinces, anyways.
Better than Quebec.
Yeah, it's a different kind of French. I think it's
Yeah,
a
I
more
guess.
per capita kind of thing.
There's a pretty big French community in Winnipeg too
Yeah,
that I didn't know existed until I went there.
I guess being a Canadian band, there's probably lots of bands that throw in some French lyrics into their English songs every now and then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or even like French bands, because you could get away in
Oh yeah,
a good chunk in Canada just being a French band.
of course. But there's almost an isolation at that point because I don't encounter their music from French bands all often. Although sometimes the
I
CBC.
think what's that one station? 90 point something or like 89.9.
89.9.
It's like a French sort of jazzy station. I always hear
You wouldn't
jazz.
come
songs.
across French music in general because you're not looking for
No.
French music.
Occasionally, the CBC will run something,
Well, yeah,
and,
for
and then
sure.
you learn about some artist that's apparently huge, and you never heard of them. You're like,
Right.
"What? I never knew that was there." It's cool.
For sure. No, I love it. It's hard to, obviously a bit harder to follow if you don't speak French.
Yeah.
But just still the music's music, right?
There was a point in time when I genuinely tried to learn, although I've given
too.
up every time, and I think the only way that I'm going to do it is if I move somewhere and just force myself to
Absolutely.
just no English, cut off.
My friend
That's the
said
best way to do it.
Yeah, my friend's Turkish, and he said that the best way he learned English was just watching English TV. Because you hear a lot of like common phrases.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But then at first you just
At
end
first
up
it'd be
doing
like
catchphrases.
Right, but
like,
you hopefully you got
learn
some sort
how
of
you
book
doing
or
huh?
something.
I'm currently teaching English,
Nice. I got offered to do that online. Is that what you're doing?
not in any formal way whatsoever.
Oh.
We have two workers. I think
Oh.
I know for a fact that one is from Costa Rica and speaks Spanish natively. But it's interesting because he'll just ask me what things mean or when to use certain words, and I'm
That's
like,
cool.
this is so cool. I love explaining stuff like that.
Right. No, I love it
It's
too.
an interesting experience.
Yeah.
It's the least formal way possible to teach a language, but
No, that's
love
cool though. Because then you get more of like, I don't know, like a genuine approach instead of like some super technical teacher.
and it's with somebody that actually can speak English fairly well. They just
Right.
don't know where to use certain words and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's a different perspective. Like, hey, I guess people from this place might not understand why we say things like this.
Totally. English is pretty weird.
Yeah. Think about that all the time.
I don't want to have the same problems as last week. I couldn't talk. While you were touring, you were in a romantic and committed relationship, right?
Still in.
You still am.
Yep.
But while you were touring, and
Yep.
even now, that's a very interesting version of the long distance relationship.
It's hard.
So how, like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It's just like a lot of phone calls and texting and, I do also like find cool shells and rocks and shit and mail sometimes.
Oh, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for me too because I'm like, like gives me a little adventure and why not?
It's pretty much every pop band at some point is going to write a song about being away from a lover. So
I'm actually writing a song right
Yeah.
now. Like it's,
Good
it's kind
opportunity.
of kind of about being away from a lover. I don't want to like spoil whatever.
no,
But
it builds suspense.
But it's more just about, like, it is about that, vaguely, but it's more about traveling and just how weird it is. because it's like it's not conventional at all. Like, you know, you're living at a hotel rooms and continental breakfasts and, you know, hotel room coffee. And
There's again,
Never that good.
it's never that good. Not even if you pay top dollar, it's never that good.
Nope.
I have to refer to this artist a lot, but there is a song called "This Hotel Room." It is by Jimmy Buffett. Sorry, but
Okay,
it
I
is
don't care.
literally
You like what you like.
just describing his entire hotel experience and everything.
That's cool.
There's almost no artistic value to the song, but it describes a hotel that does not sound amazing, so I can see why he wrote it.
Right.
And at the end of it,
There's
he's
some
like,
weird hotels.
"I've had enough. I'm coming home. Like,
Right.
I'm
Pretty
packing my
much.
bags and
Dude,
I'm
pretty
heading
much.
home."
Like, especially like, you know, the home stretch, you start to go like pretty loopy. I mean, I don't know if you guys travel at all.
We had, yeah.
A
Yeah,
little bit.
like you go loopy at, like in the middle, but like when you're gone for like a month, you start to like hate everyone you're with,
I can see,
you know, and like
when we
the
did our
van
wedding
gets
in
messy and you
PEI,
can't find
yeah.
anything. Like,
there was a definite 7-hour stretch where Tila, Justin, and I hated each other.
yeah, you just don't talk
No.
for a long time. But no, it's not, you know, obviously you know what I'm saying. It's not like hate, but yeah, you drive each other bonkers for sure. And like, you know, we're all our own people, pretty different people. I mean, we've got a lot of similarities too.
So what was the driving like? Was it constant? Was it a lot of conversation? Was it a lot of private time? Did everybody take turns driving?
It's a bit of both. It was mostly Don and Yo driving, but on the West Coast we had 2 other friends, so they were helping out. I'll probably do a lot more driving this year because I don't think we're gonna have as much help, which is actually, I will say, the hardest part. Like, I feel like I was more exhausted on the East Coast, which was like half the duration, because we didn't have anyone with us. It was just, you know, night after night, us loading and unloading and like driving and doing everything, like cooking everything, like every single thing you can think of, doing our own like sound, doing everything. And that just can wear on you because you don't have a second to yourself. Like, so we appreciated it so much more on the West Coast, because even just someone to hold the door when you're loading gear is huge when you're like pooped, right? It just like can make or break your mood. So, and just like, you know, if you get sick of your band, you have like 2 other dudes you can go hang out with for a second or whatever. You know, not to say like anyone's overly annoying. It's just when you spend so much time with someone, it's inevitable. You just
Interesting insight.
At the wedding that we were at on Saturday,
Just did a wedding.
I
Photography.
specifically
Nice.
told
Videography.
Tila that if we ever expand past the point that we're at, I will gladly hire a like stagehand, because not that I'm getting tired of it, but there's so much of the job that's at least with how we do it, that's a technician side of the job. Like, I setting or plugging into the sound stuff and whatnot, I feel as though I could just get somebody else to do it, because I waste a lot of my time.
you just have to weigh like the cost benefit
and
ratio, right?
Somebody to just swat away any of the waiters or whoever is there that's going to come around and just unplug our stuff or whatever.
It was a very odd
It
venue.
happens,
I will stand by the fact that the wait staff at the venue we were at turned off my microphone.
Strange thing for them to do.
Man, well, that's the thing, is when you work with like sound equipment and stuff, like you go, or like even just like as a musician or anything to do with like technical stuff, you deal with a lot of people that have no idea like what you're doing. So it's like they do things that are just mind blowing sometimes. Stories from hell. It's crazy.
It might not have even been like, I'm not saying that there was malicious
No,
intent.
exactly. That's what I mean. Is they have no clue what.
The
we're
rolling
doing.
cart that I plugged into specifically said, "Don't put food on me." So I made sure that I don't put food on it.
Right,
not
right.
that I would. And then I went over and there was trays of food
Oh my
on
God.
that. And I feel like maybe if they didn't see it or whatever, they hit the button. Because there's
Right.
no lock. There should be a lock where it stops.
I guess you just get in your pocket or something.
But it happened more than once. And
Right. Yeah.
it's unfortunate. But yeah, having some, I don't want to say a lackey, but having a assistant.
For sure.
There was one point when I was considering asking Justin to drive my truck over and start doing something for the photo booth stuff just because there's so much equipment that needs to be moved around. Then, like, what am I going to do? Stand here and watch the equipment, make sure nobody steals my stuff while I'm waiting for something?
Exactly.
We had somebody message us. It was very interesting, asking if they could get experience, at weddings.
Right.
And that is an interesting thing for me because I've never had people that are messaging me saying, hey, could we work for you?
Right.
But the person that messaged us was an idiot. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, you can. And she's like, well, what type of equipment do I need? I'm like, well, obviously you need a camera, this type of lens. If you have this camera, chances are you have this lens, you need a monopod. Which is a question for you, G. What's a monopod?
I have no idea.
No? Okay. That's fine, and that's perfectly fine. Do you know what a tripod is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like that, but with one leg.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean to sound stupid when I asked you if you know what a tripod is.
No. I get
Tripod,
it.
mono. Anyways, this person was like, oh, what? So I sent her a link to
An aspiring
buy.
videographer.
Yeah.
Didn't know what this piece of equipment was, which is a pretty basic tool for us.
Yes.
Right.
So she was an idiot.
Harsh, bro.
I'm sorry.
I think it's a little bit more of the naiveness that's perhaps maybe the annoying thing for us, because it's someone that's just like, they're all gung ho, like, yeah, I want to work for you, do this, whatever. But they haven't taken the time to.
I just want to
Done the
say
research,
I
yeah.
always
Basic
knew
stuff.
what monopods were.
Right.
It's a key tool. It's the first thing, because tripods are great for doing video work,
Right.
but they're not very mobile because you have to close up and move on. The monopod, as long as you're there and standing, and even then, I've got a monopod that has little legs that fold out and
Right.
become a semi-tripod. So for her not to know it, it was an automatic. We have issues.
Are there people in maybe the audience or just people that have contacted you later asking to work for you in some capacity?
I've had a couple people that are like, I want to.
Can I be your bass player?
Oh no.
People that have said like, can I come on the road for a couple shows with you guys? I'd love to like work sound or whatever. And nothing's like come through, but it's never too late. Like I understand how it is. It's hard to get time off work or whatever, and do something. And that's the thing is like right now we can't afford to pay people, so we offer like wherever we sleep, you sleep, and wherever we eat, you eat. Like it's a free trip for you. You just got to pay your rent, your own rent. Like we just can't afford that right now, And
hopefully the time comes where it's not.
yeah,
so much
and
of
I
a-
think it will. Like that's why I don't expect anyone to come. It's just usually like it was like my best friend and his friend that came last year, right? So
Sounds like a dream.
It
I would
is.
love.
It's
to
fun.
Do
It's a lot of work. Like there's a lot of. I mean, for us it was stressful because of the van,
yes.
right? And
Well,
it
then
made-
you get a mechanic friend to come along.
right, exactly.
Just get a bunch of friends.
But a lot of so that's the thing is you have to weigh the cost benefit, right? Like because after being able to bring friends, I now see how beneficial it is, right? How much stress it took off me to always have everything like handled. Even just like you said, like standing at the car so nothing gets stolen. So you can at least load in. Like that was huge for us in big cities where we're in like some sketchy alley and there's like people walking around like just looking at your stuff. Like
It's an interesting, interesting concept. I guess it really depends on where you're touring, but I mean, even a person such as myself, I find that enticing. Like it'd be cool to just go around with a band. I have wide enough skill set that I feel like I'd be useful in some capacity.
And of
Right.
course, there's the draw of doing a series of band photography shots
Yeah,
at different
yeah.
venues.
There's that.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
that for sure.
it's good for the resume.
So
I'm not sick of travel yet, so.
no,
yeah, I
me
hear you.
either. Especially Canadian
Canada,
traveling.
that's what I love about Canada is that you can go anywhere. Like there's so many different landscapes.
I liked driving to Sudbury, even at night. Like just different. It looks different, vaguely different.
Yeah, it's
But-
very dark. We went up there
Well,
earlier
we
in the
didn't
winter.
leave. I mean, coming from Sudbury, we left with light
Yeah.
a little bit. It's just nice. And then driving to PEI, the landscape was awesome to see.
Oh
It
yeah.
was the first time I was ever in Quebec, and it was nice because we were kind of playing the hits of every place that we stopped.
Nice. Yeah, PEI is really cool, eh? A lot of farms and
Yes,
surrounded by ocean.
and lots of friendly people with
We had a funny gig there.
very expressive personalities.
What happened at this gig?
It wasn't like hilarious funny. It was just like weird funny where it was like, okay, so we're playing in this place. It's like the upstairs of another place. It's called Alibaba's, I think, and it's just like this random like restaurant that's got a sweet stage. A lot of cool bands have played there apparently. Set up, you know, we got some opener bands. They play. Their friends are there, so it's like probably like 10 to 15 people, and they're all kind of just, you know, hanging around, just watching. And we played probably for about an hour and a half or two, and for the first half, it was just those people I was talking about, just kind of standing watching.
Which, once again, is PEI, so that's like
It's great.
almost everybody.
It was amazing. You know, I was like, right on, there's people here. We've never been here before. I have no friends here. It's just some random venue with some random openers. See what happens, right? So it was like, anyone is a bonus. So yeah, and then it started to kind of clear out as we played. Night was getting later, and out of nowhere, this big crew of people just comes in and starts dancing. Like, it turned into a dance party. Like, we just like started playing all our danceable songs. We're like, where did this come from? This is amazing. And like, by the time we were done, they were gone. So like,
Are you sure they were there?
exactly, that's exactly what we were laughing about. We're like, did that even happen? Because we're like tearing down to this like empty bar, but like 2 seconds ago, it was like a fat party. It was hilarious.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird, you know? You're setting up, there's no one there. Fat party, then you're tearing down, there's no one there. It's just like super weird.
Speaking of that, we have been to a few places where we've seen musicians playing to empty rooms.
It happens.
And you guys still...
It happened to us, I think the first time it happened to us when we were on tour was, what's it called?
I have no idea.
I'm not going to remember it.
We saw it in Nashville.
It was in Saskatchewan or something like that. But,
Okay.
yeah, it was just like completely empty. I think there was 2 people there that came in to have dinner, and then they left. And you know, the only thing that kept me going was Buddy in the kitchen was like grooving out, so that was nice. It happens though. They fed us, and they apologized to us. Yeah. They're like, sorry, there wasn't people here. I'm like, wow, it's usually like, there weren't people here, you're not getting paid or whatever.
So
like,
what do you dissect situations like that? Do you think of how that happened?
oh
why
yeah,
it
for
happened?
sure. Like, you know, try to have a better game plan, or accept that it might not be, you might not be ready for that place because it might, the demographic or the scene either doesn't exist or your name isn't big enough yet. Like, you don't know enough people in that area.
It seems like it can happen anywhere. We went
It
to
can happen anywhere.
one of Alan Jackson's bars in Nashville, Tennessee. Wasn't like a random weird night. We went on what should have been probably a busier night, and there was somebody that was playing to an empty room.
Well, that bar is weird because it's a multi-leveled bar.
Right.
So the first floor had people,
pretty
and they
packed.
were performing, but we didn't realize there was live performers on
Every floor.
Wow.
So we get up to the next floor, and it's just a girl, a guitar, talented. She sounded good, right? She was very good. And that was it. And we sat down, got a drink, and she played to us.
Honestly, you guys are the best people, because when you're playing those gigs and someone does that, it just feels amazing.
And
it's
then
like,
we
you're
went-
like, I didn't waste my night.
Well,
Yes.
And then we were in Panama City, Florida, and we went to a bar during the day. And there was even less people in this place.
It was a huge place.
It was
too.
huge.
Oh, that's even
Could
worse.
have sat maybe like 60, 70 people at least.
One guy on stage, we walked in, and it got better. Like,
Yeah.
I think once you play to people,
he
even
perked up
one
a bit.
person.
Yeah.
As soon as you're performing.
Yeah. And I guess you also never know who you're playing for. Right?
That's the thing, sort of. I don't really think of that too much, just because,
But it's true.
yeah, it's definitely true. It's definitely true. I like to treat everyone the same, so I don't really care. Because if some guy's just like big shot, I don't really want to work with some dude that's like full of himself anyways. I mean, if it's an opportunity, then hell yeah, but like, I'd rather not treat people like they could be ready to sign me. I'll play like it, but everyone gets the same treatment.
No, that's fair. That's a good way to be, and good. I mean, music. It's a good way to live in life too, not just when you're performing.
Kind of like I said before, like most of these people that I meet are my friends. They become my friends. It's more about like life than it is about my business, which in turn makes the business more fun. It doesn't feel like as much work.
you're in a very interesting business because, as we said before, people get connected to songs. That's why you're very quiet about where the actual meaning of the song came from, because everybody's going to make a different connection to the song.
No,
That's a rule.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that's smart. And then because you're calling and they are your friends, you're creating this family, this friendly atmosphere where people come and see you play, obviously, and they're supporting friends. In some cases, they're supporting local, and also at the same time, even if you are playing in BC, they are still supporting local because they're supporting Canadian, and I think that's very important. Canadian content always seems to get thrown under the rug compared to American content, but it is very important. So why this is a proudly Canadian content podcast. This will survive forever in Canada.
We've already done it in America, though.
Well, yes, we have, but it was produced by Canadians.
It's true.
That's one thing that we should have. And you say you talk to people that you meet. We had an opportunity that we didn't take to interview a very interesting guy from Alabama. Remember? We should have asked him.
From Alabama.
Yeah. We met him in the pool.
Okay. I didn't know that's where he was from. Yeah, there was some guy that was traveling all over the place. It was an older couple.
Yeah. But he sounded like he had some stories.
I love people like that.
You just
can
need a
feel it all.
microphone with you at all times. And you can just do it.
Some people are they just like breathe stories.
Yep.
It's so fun.
That is very, very true. I was in Cuba once, and I met a guy just randomly talking at a bar, and I ended up getting his number because he was telling one of the other guests how he met his wife, and his wife was Cuban, so he lives in Canada, he comes back to see her and all that, and I'm like, I would like to know more, and this was well before any of this ever came to be. And he's like, oh, I mean, if you're a writer or anything like that, have I got stories to tell you? And the problem was he was drunk, and when I called him, he's like, who the fuck are you?
That's hilarious.
Like, well, you gave me your number over in Cuba. It's like, why'd I give you my number? Like, you said you had stories you wanted to share. It's like, stop calling me.
Just gotta find him, get him hammered.
So
get your stories.
Yeah, just call him at the right time, man.
Yes.
You gotta line it up with like right after dinner or something.
That's true. But that was like 6 years ago, so I don't think I even have his number. But that was interesting. I've always been interested in people's stories. There's so many interesting little experiences and niches
for sure
in people.
Yeah, some of the like people you meet on the road too, where you find out their occupation and you're like, I didn't even know that was a job. It's so crazy.
Like what?
I can't think of anything specific. I just mean like people that travel
jobs.
that do things to continue to travel, you know, just like how do you make it work sort of a thing. Like, oh, I write blogs for this website, or just like you just hear the randomest things that you don't really think of. It's not just like your regular office job.
If you're frugal, you can get by with pretty meager job.
Exactly. So like and usually you meet those people on the road, right? Like backpackers and whatnot. Like it's just like, how do you make money? Oh, you know, I just like make these necklaces and hit up like souvenir shops, and you just meet the randomest
That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like somebody
I
who
love that.
travels across Canada making necklaces and selling them to souvenir shops. They've seen shit.
Exactly.
They know stuff.
Exactly, because you
They
have a lot
done
more
some
free
things.
time to do things, right? Like you're not chasing your bills or whatever.
It's true, and you're very mobile, so you can go kind of wherever you want.
Yeah.
I
remember realizing that like first time traveling, just like the likelihood of running into interesting situations like triples. Like you just like you're always moving, right? So you're always kind of in the past. Like if you're just sitting at home, nothing crazy interesting is gonna happen for the most part.
Except where you live. If you live where I am, where there's just people yelling and screaming and going crazy. Because I live in Welland, and it's not the nicest of places, but it's entertaining. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Your place is crazy when you drive around. But I don't know. I think we're all kind of in some sort of artistic field, so we're lucky that we can observe different things. And,
It's fun to be a witness.
yeah.
Unless it's like a crime or something crazy.
Might also
Like a
still be
murder.
cool.
It
depending
can
on the
be
crime.
fun.
True.
I saw-
I just meant it could be traumatizing.
On the way over here, I saw somebody just in a parking space for a handicap space in the middle of the parking lot, and they just drove forward over the sign, and the sign flattened under the vehicle.
my
So I
God.
witnessed a crime, but it was funny.
Right.
They just kept going. They didn't care. Somebody will fix the sign later.
It's true. No, we do get to witness, and some of the best stories and some of the best like anecdotes that I have come from people that I've met, and then sometimes you get lucky, and some of the funniest stories or most interesting stories that I have are just from personal experiences. It's very interesting. Like we talked about with my back surgeon, that 1 degree of separation.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you very much for coming.
Oh, my
and
pleasure.
talking. We love talking to you.
It's been a good
Likewise.
I think this is probably 10 times better than the last time we did it, just because we are more in tune with doing the whole podcast thing.
We're developing a style. It takes a little bit of time, and even though this was very casual,
No, I
there's
hear
definitely
ya,
a
for
style.
sure.
Last week, I couldn't talk.
Yes, we had on Johnny Tischler, the candidate for mayor in the previous election.
Right.
And I could not form sentences.
What
I
was
don't
it?
know.
You think you were tired or something?
No, I have absolutely no idea. Like I have no idea. And this week was definitely better. So
That's good.
I'm glad. It's very scary when you can't talk and you don't know why you
Do you think it had
talk.
to do with the fact that he was a more like official person?
No, because we had him on before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the
When
time
he
of
was
the
more
election.
official, because there was a chance he was gonna be mayor.
Right.
And there still is, because he's gonna run again. So I can't really say that, but yeah. Thank you very much. Is there
My
anything you
pleasure.
want to promote? Any?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
you
I
brought
wouldn't
up.
promote any gig in the next week, but any gigs within the
No,
next
yeah.
month or so.
I know you brought up my guitar. Shout out to Randy Magarowski for making it.
Okay.
Cool
Hi,
dude.
Randy.
Yep, Randy from Winnipeg. And local gigs, St. Catharines, May 11th with Fat Moth at Oddfellows Temple, which is on James Street, beside the office.
It'd be cool to check that out. I've never been to that venue.
Me
Yeah, and
either.
it's a do-it-yourself show, so like, you know, it'll support the direct local music scene. It's not like a bar or anything. We're buying everything ourselves and doing it all. Seeing what happens, just setting our own vibe, because it gives us the opportunity to kind of decorate the space and make it like our own thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, instead of just like you're walking into an already, like an establishment or whatever, that you can't overly control. Like we're going to get our own lights and do our own sound.
So that sounds like if you really want the full Road Waves experience,
Yeah,
you should
why
go
not?
there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Fat Moth's releasing I think a single and a music video that night, and we're playing with another band called the Boo Radley Project.
Ooh, Radley Project.
Yeah, check them out. They're
Inspired
from
by
Guelph.
To Kill a Mockingbird,
Yes,
perhaps?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. They're from Guelph. What else? Yeah, it's just the tour's coming up. I know we're playing In the Soil in June.
Huh.
That
I
should
tend to wind up there one way or another every year.
Me too.
I don't
Like,
even know when it's
whether I'm,
happening,
like,
but I'm downtown and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I know what this is.
Yeah, totally. I know. It's a great time. Yeah, that's
And
all I
just
can-
follow Road Waves.
Just follow, yeah, Roadwaves.
Instagram,
Roadwaves.ca,
Facebook.
Facebook.com/RoadwavesBand.
Yeah.
Roadwaves Band on Instagram, Roadwaves Band on Twitter,
All right.
YouTube, all that stuff.
Spotify,
Apple Music,
Apple Music.
There we go.
Amazon.
You can check us out at those places too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can also
we're all
find
there.
us
Yeah, yeah.
on. It's amazing.
The whole gang's
It
there.
all goes a long way. All those follows and listens definitely.
It does. It's weird to see who listens to what. Like I look.
Absolutely.
Although we don't do record-breaking numbers, it's
No.
interesting. I have no idea how people find us on Spotify or anything like
Dude,
that.
there's some random countries on like Spotify that are just like,
Never heard.
how did you hear about us?
Yeah, but
Like,
that's good because
that's
you
great.
should try
It's
to
amazing.
perform there.
No, absolutely. That's the thing.
We got 3 fans.
What's the weirdest country? What's
I'd
the
have to
most
look-
random one?
I'd have to look at it because I
Are
honestly.
you big in China?
I could look right now. I could
Well,
check
I mean,
what
I'm
our.
very curious now.
We'll shut off the cameras.
Yeah.
We'll look.
Anyway.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Goodbye.
Actually, I'm gonna give myself another sync. Sometimes the mics go out of sync somewhere starting in the middle.